Welcome back to the show. It's Sector Tuesday, and we've had our focus all through this morning on health and the health sector, which takes me to our guest segment for today. Managing a pharmaceutical company is far from an easy task, especially as it's one of the most complex, one of the most highly regulated industry of today. On our guest segment, we will focus on how ERP solutions help retail pharmacy sector gain valuable business insight, and also take a closer look at how to choose the best ERP for anyone operating in a pharmaceutical industry. Joining me for conversations now is Lionel de Oliveira. He's the sales manager, South Africa, Seido Africa. Good morning, Lionel. It's good to have you here.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I cannot complain.
Let's get right into the conversation now. Sado Africa is a top technology integrator. That is, you use technology to enable businesses reduce costs, you ensure its competitive edge, you improve profitability, and realize new opportunities. So basically, you guys just take care of the IT needs of businesses across Africa with ERP solutions. But before we talk about ERP solutions now, why has your focus shifted to the pharmaceutical sector at this time?
The industry as itself is faced with a multitude of challenges. So we've got a rapidly changing landscape, competitive pressure in the markets, and really supply chain challenges that are brought on by the whole COVID-19 pandemic. And really what we've noticed from our side is that by getting a strong back-end system in place, we can eliminate a lot of these or even improve on kind of the whole supply chain aspect. So that's really our interest as to why, and because it's a growing market, you know.
Yeah, so as you've said, I mean, the whole supply chain thing has been one of the leading challenge for retail pharmacies. They're experiencing supply chain pressures at this point. And of course, it intensified, last year with the emergence of COVID-19. And it will be stronger this year, of course, with the rollout of the vaccines currently underway. So how can retail pharmacies leverage on ERP solutions to weather this storm?
So basically, we're going to have to, as a retail pharmacy, take a completely agile approach in trying to accommodate a new challenge within business. A lot of the pharmacies are going to be doing something they haven't done before. And how do you manage that? How do you manage that from a stock perspective? How do you manage that from appointment scheduling? And that's really driven back to a back-end solution. So, visibility across a multi-branch scenario would be probably your first prize, so that you know what's happening at kind of individual sites. You can plan for stock shortages if there are going to be any. You can start moving things around so that you accommodate an end user best experience. So that's pretty much how we see it getting managed the best way.
Right.
We also need to understand that this is something that is getting rolled out as almost a non-negotiable. So they need to be geared up for this. And the last thing you want to do is start affecting people's health.
Yes, and this invariably is going to, lead to efficiency of business for these retail pharmacies and help them to respond more easily and quickly to market demands. But at the end of the day, this is not, isolated to just the pharmaceutical industries, which is why I'd like to know if there are ERP solutions specifically designed for pharmacies.
With Business One, and that's the platform of choice for Sado Africa, it's not specific to a vertical or an industry per se. So it's a completely flexible solution. Our flexibility is, it's kind of reciprocated on the customer side as well. We accommodate and configure the platform to business requirements within the industry. So we've got best practices from globally SAP, and they're predominant in the healthcare space, as well as a varied, whether it go from manufacturing, distribution, and we could almost say tailor make the solution to the business requirement.
Right. Okay. There are a lot of benefits, obviously, from the ERP solution. So I'm sure some pharmaceutical companies would be considering this at this point. But while they have that in mind, what do they need to prepare when they implement ERP?
The main thing is a goal or an objective. So, where are the gaps? What are the challenges they think they get being experienced, and how would they potentially see them getting remedied? Without having any knowledge on ERP, as a business owner, you might say that there's a disconnect between departments. There's no visibility across branches, or you're unable to kind of pull a stock evaluation at any given time. So you're not able to manage that cash flow correctly. These are all common areas where businesses, without the correct backing of a solid ERP platform, aren't able to manage these aspects. So there could be a financial impact, there could be a customer experience impact, but all of it affects the line.
Right. So for newcomers, for people who would be using this for the first time, is it possible to migrate old or historical data?
Yeah, definitely. It's really, we need to understand the extent on how much data that is. Traditionally, we would look at kind of, open transactions, things like that. But for trend analysis, specifically in the retail environment, if we're talking about the pharmacy or the pharmaceutical space, you want to understand what your good sellers are. You want to understand what your fast and what necessarily you don't need to keep in stock on the shelf, because we don't want to burn that cash flow. Yeah.
Okay. So how can a retail pharmacy choose an ERP provider that best suits it?
I think the main thing is referenceability. So just like anything in life, you need to understand, have they done it before? And is there something in place that is almost pre-built? You've understood that the framework is already there, that it just maybe to support you. The main thing is support after the fact. Things are always changing. We've seen that in our climate. We've seen that in the healthcare system. One day to the next, things can change drastically. And do you have a partner that is able to support you through that change with the skill set?
Right. All right. Lastly, Mr. Lionel, I'd like you to tell us a bit more about Seido Africa for those persons or those firms, organizations that would like to check out what you do.
All right. So we can find it at seidoafrica.com. Really what we do is business efficiency by the means of an SAP platform. We've got reaching throughout southern and eastern Africa, slowly moving upward to Western Africa. And we support it by multiple sets of technology. So whether it be from the environment, the server that the solution will need to reside on, to the ERP backbone and the business management side, all the way through to the reporting layer. We've got multiple business divisions that can service that. So essentially that one-stop shop to really cover that end-to-end business requirements.
All right, Lionel de Oliveira, thank you so much for your time on the show, for giving us your insight on ERP solutions and how it could help retail pharmacy sector gain valuable business insight. I do hope I could have you much later on the show for more conversations.
100%. Thank you very much for your time.
Have a nice day.
You too, bye.
And that was a sales manager, South Africa, Seido Africa, of course, as a pharmaceutical firm. I do hope that this has helped you, especially now that the vaccine rollout is underway. I tell you, the pressure in the health sector space is going to be immense.